What's up, guys? So, I'm back with another video. I know I've been doing a lot of fantasy recently, but want to go back to some of the things I was doing before I started looking at fantasy with the boys and doing those things. So, if you're looking at our channel and watching those, thanks. But I want to get to some important things that are going on right now. So, if you guys didn't know, I'm from Africa. So my parents both grew up in Africa. My mom's from Ghana. My dad's from Nigeria. So I've had lots of discussions with my dad about Nigeria and just the way things are, and pretty much just like the amount of wealth that's in that country and the inability of the government to use those resources for the betterment of the people who live in that country. So citizens are really struggling. Things that are going on. It's not a great look for the country because it's such a rich country with such rich oil and mineral wealth, and they just have not spread that wealth for the betterment of the country. Um, and which is why it's easy to see why a situation like SARS has gone on within their country. So we have um, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you're on any social media, you know about the End SARS, hashtag End SARS movement that has been going on. Um, some just devastating things to read, people dying, um, people just protesting for things that they need changed in the country for police reform, and the government and the military just using their excessive force and their weapons take out any people who disagree with. SARS is short for the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. So they were created in 1984 as part of the Nigeria Police Force, and they were formally created as their own unit in 1992. So what they were designed to do was actually good. They wanted to stop kidnappings, they wanted to stop robberies, they wanted to stop violent things from going on that the Nigerian police force themselves couldn't handle, and they would be pretty much like a special unit. Over time, though, they morphed into something that they were trying to avoid. They started doing robberies, they started doing kidnappings, tortures, extorting people for money. They started doing all these things they were sworn in and brought in to protect against in the country of Nigeria. Um, so this has been going on for a long, long time. And there have also been movements within like the past couple of years, dating back to like 2015, of end SARS movements where the government will go in and kind of say, okay, we're going to change X, Y, and Z here. And the changes they've made are so minimal that the problems continue to pester and continue to arise in the country, and SARS continues to do these violent actions against the citizens they're sworn to protect. Um, in June of this year, Amnesty International issued a report, and it said that there were 82 cases of torture, ill treatment, and extrajudicial executions from January 2017 to this May of 2020. The victims, primarily 18 to 25-year-old males from low income backgrounds and vulnerable group. They have not come to address this problem adequately, and the reason I can suspect is that when you have something like this in place where you there's no onus on the government themselves to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to come in and get rid of this thing and change it, because at the end of the day, you want to keep your citizens in check when you're such a corrupt country, and you want to make sure that the people at the top get their things, and then the people at the bottom are left with pretty much nothing. So when there's change that needs to be made and the people at the bottom realize it, the best way to make sure that their voices can't be heard is by bringing in the military, bringing in these units like SARS to go ahead and suppress their voices, which is what they have done. Amnesty says they showed an absolute disregard for international human rights and standards. Um, as you know, here in the United States, we've had protests, very peaceful protests, Black Lives Matter, especially with the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And this just kind of shows that these things go around all around the world. These things are continuing to happen. Um, So the problems we have here in America, where all citizens feel like black women and black men are getting gunned down for police simply for their skin color, it's the same way over there in Nigeria, where these guys 18 to 25 who are vulnerable and low income are getting attacked by these SARS forces just because of their vulnerability in the situation they're in. They can't hire anyone who's in a position of power to back them out. No, they get extorted, tortured, their things get taken, they get beaten, and what are they going to do? Push for the government to charge these men who are part of said government? There's really not much you can do on that front. So these guys benefit and do these atrocious things. But yeah, so obviously in these past couple of weeks in October, we've seen the NSARS movement where we've had people like Trey Songz and John Boyega. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. The Star Wars actor. They've come out on social media, and this NSARS movement, I've seen it all along my Twitter and everywhere. Just how people are coming together to really address this problem and stand in solidarity with Nigerian citizens who want to bring about change and justice to their country. Because right now, it's not looking good. And this is really spearheaded by the youth there. So there's 206 million people in Nigeria, and 50% of them are the age of 19 and younger. So there's a lot of people who are in that like 17 to like 30-year range in their 20s, where they have social media and are able to get the outreach quicker than we did back in the day. They know the technology, they know how to get outreach, and that's why on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of the social medias you use, you've seen a lot of these things on there, and you've seen some of the brutality things. I've seen some horrific things on there, and it's sad. It really pains my heart to see, because these people shouldn't be going through these things, you know? They want police reform. They're not the same here, where I know the United States, we want to defunding the police because of just the excessive amount of money we have and how much money we give in excess to these police people, when we could be giving these money to schools and researchers and people like climate scientists who can use them in a better way that's going to ameliorate the country. But rather, we give it to the military, we give it to the police departments, and they go ahead and wreak havoc on the people they're sworn to protect. In a lot of instances, obviously it's not all of them, but there's enough of them where it causes a great burden, and people feel like they have to go out and protest and try and make the situation better, you know. So yeah, there's that. It's just really hard to see when you know, like, you like, it's hard just sitting here being in the comfort of like where you sit, like here, just going to college, and then you see all these things of guys your age who are just having to go through such atrocious times. Like, if the roles were switched, I could easily be one of those kids in Nigeria there, you know, going through those things. And it's just sad. And when people want to see change, and the government there is just not allowing these people to get the changes that they see that will actually bring reform and justice, people are going to go out and protest, and it's turned ugly. In Lagos, in the capital, Abuja, there's been killings. There's been live fire, live bullets, I should say, and tear gas. Just things to deter people from going out and showcasing their voice and the things they want to hear. And it's terrible, you know. It's really terrible. A Pew Research Center survey conducted a few years ago showed 39% of Nigerians were satisfied with how democracy was working, but an astounding 60%, so 6 out of every 10 people, said they're not happy with the way democracy functions in their country. So a country that is supposedly democratic, the majority of people do not feel like democracy is running the right way, which in essence doesn't even make it a democracy. If people don't feel like democracy is working and their voice is being heard, in that instance, you probably have some sort of oligarchy going on, which is really the case for Nigeria. 90% of the country, 95% of the country is just almost borderline poverty, you know? And it's not great to see. It's terrible to see. Ours has a history of violence and torture, and they've been implicated by, I don't know if you guys have heard Amnesty International, but they're pretty much a human rights group that goes around and looks at different countries and different organizations and how they do with human rights. Since the SARS, 56 people died, across Nigeria since the end of the SARS protest on October 8th, with 36 people killed across the country on Tuesday. The big thing that happened in Lagos, today's Friday, so about 3 days ago, people being killed just for simply protesting and wanting reform and justice, and it's weird to see because obviously, not weird to see, but it's just like around the world, there are just a lot of things that go on that we may be oblivious to or it may not matter to us. And then you just see like how that's just not the correct way to live life, Because if you can go ahead and do something to better the situation for someone else, even if you may not know it, that's just going to make life better for everyone else. So speaking up on these things, posting about these things, trying to get reform. Some of these people who have done a lot and posted, and the people who have gone in to try and get these things changed, their voice has been heard because obviously, I think it was October 11th, they announced the ending of SARS. So since being formally introduced in 1992 and sticking around all this time, the time in 2014, 2016, 2017, where they had protests, they didn't get it globally recognized like they did this time, but they got recognized and they weren't able to change it. But now it's been so impactful with social media and then the people stepping up to do the things that they need to do that we've gotten to the point where SARS is disbanded. So when you think like this thing may not affect you, or oh, my voice is not going to be heard, just remember that it doesn't take just one person to go ahead and change something. It takes a movement, it takes a revolution, it takes groups of people to go ahead and fight and continue to fight until things can get changed. So ending SARS is a step in the right direction, but they want reform. They want more resources for their people in Nigeria. And with a country like that, the most populated country in Nigeria, they're like, I think Trevor Noah said it best. They're like the Texas of Africa. You know how Texas people be. I got a friend from Texas, so you know how it is. But yeah, like they're very influential country in America, in Nigeria. Nigeria is a very influential country in Africa. So when things like this happens and it goes around the world, their government responds to it, and we're able to, as a group, as people around the world, able to get this disbanded. More is going to need to be done in the coming weeks and the coming years to really get the reform they need. But it just goes to show that if we put our minds to things and we work together, we're going to get changes in our respective countries and in the world as a whole. It's just crazy to see the parallels between this, and the George Floyd Breonna Taylor situation, where we have people who go out and protest peacefully, and then there will be agitation by the military forces, the government, the police forces. This is why we want to get them defunded. This is why we want to put those resources to other things that are actually going to ameliorate the communities. And it shows that there can be change that can be done. And I believe if people continue to work together and fight together, there's going to be changes that will occur. In the United States, and I'm sure in Nigeria, those young people push and young people understand the voice and the power that they have as they work together. There's going to be major changes made. But ending SARS is a step in the right direction, and the reform of police forces and getting resources in the areas that need to be directed towards in Nigeria and also in the United States as well, and in any other countries that have situations like this, is the next step to really make it a more equitable and equal place for peoples in their respective countries. So yeah, that's all I have on this, but this one really hits close to the heart. My dad said when he went back a couple of years ago how when he was growing up, obviously there's not a lot, but he said when he went back after, I think, 2 decades, there's even less now, and obviously they have situations like this, but with time and with the right people in right positions and people moving as a group and coalescing in a revolution, I think we can get changes that will really help and benefit Nigeria and hopefully other places that need it as well.